Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Tyler, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys what if Tori joined Miyagi-Do. I know, what if Sam joined Cobra Kai is going to be coming soon, I promise. I just want to make sure that video is perfected, and until that, and in the meantime, I'm going to be doing this scenario, which is a lot easier to do than Sam joining Cobra Kai, since this what if starts in Season 2. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you want more Cobra Kai videos like this, specifically Cobra Kai what if, suggest them down in the comment section below, along with liking the video if you do enjoy, and subscribing if you are new, as the majority of my viewers are not subscribed. So if you're viewing my videos and you are consistently viewing them, then why not just consider hitting the subscribe button so you will never miss me, upload. And if you want to ensure that 100%, you might want to hit the bell icon, that way you are notified and updated every time I upload. Now with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's just dive into the video, and I hope you guys do enjoy.
You was on some op shit. I was cruising down a nigga block with a chopstick. Rockstar nigga. Nah, I need a rock bitch. You want beef? Nah, bitches, nah, squash bitch.
Okay, so we start our story off in Season 2, Episode 3, where we have Johnny talking to Miguel about how he failed Robbie, and, this emotional scene still happens, and instead of Miguel saying to Johnny and alerting him about how Miyagi-Do is at the festival doing a presentation, either in this timeline, Miguel never gets the notification or just never checks his phone, or he does check his phone and tells Johnny, but Johnny doesn't want to ruin this moment that him and Miguel are having, so they would finish eating, and then they would go back home, where the timeline would then at this point begin to change, because now Cobra Kai is never going to be attending at the festival and crashing Miyagi-Do's presentation, which means Miyagi-Do executes their presentation and no one is really that aware of Cobra Kai, but mainly Miyagi-Do. Reason why this is important is because the main reason why Tori joined Cobra Kai initially was because she saw them at Valley Fest, but now in this time she only saw Miyagi-Do, so I think this is a good way to pretty much execute her joining Miyagi-Do instead of Cobra Kai, and this is honestly the best way to kind of do it. Valley Fest was the main way for her to join Cobra Kai, but now we are taking that away and applying it to Miyagi-Do. So basically now Tori's going to be joining Miyagi-Do instead, and this also applies to other characters such as Stingray, since that was Stingray's main motivation as well. Him and Tori both joined the dojo for the same reasons. Obviously Stingray would join initially, and then Tori would eventually come, just like in canon. And I think in this timeline as well, even Dimitri comes in early, and he's still the third student of Miyagi-Do. Especially when you look at it, like, the main reason why probably Dimitri wanted to go back to Cobra Kai is because now everybody wanted to join because of the Valley Fest, and really I think the Valley Fest definitely had a play in Dimitri wanting to go up to Cobra Kai and basically try and join, and he had that whole interaction with Kreese. But for this timeline, because the Valley Fest had Miyagi-Do instead of Cobra Kai, this would mean Dimitri is more keen on joining Miyagi-Do since he already tried Cobra Kai, and now this dojo's popping off, so might as well give this a try. And so I'll say by the beginning of episode 4, instead of us seeing Cobra Kai getting new students, we would see Miyagi-Do getting new students, Dimitri being the third student of Miyagi-Do, then Stingray, and then Tori. We can have some random kids in the background as well. We then cut to Cobra Kai, who is currently training because now Miyagi-Do apparently has more people in their ranks, and Kreese especially is a little worried because now in his mind now Daniel LaRusso has more soldiers on the field. So basically instead of Miguel meeting Tori and all that stuff being executed, we would just have Cobra Kai training hard with Miguel and Hawk sparring, I guess. Now, we would cut back to Miyagi-Do, and currently Stingray would be arriving, and he would say how he saw Daniel at, his job, and, he was talking about chopping prices, and they were quote-unquote bonding. As that happens, I think Daniel at that point would then say, well, who wants to try and spar with his best student, which is currently Robbie, since Sam hasn't done all that much training yet. And we would then get Tori arriving, who would then decide to try and take on the challenge and take on Robbie. She would lose, obviously, but she does show promise, and Daniel would say to her how she can for sure stick around. Now, this would then lead into Daniel teaching the new students of Miyagi-Do the Miyagi-Do philosophy. Obviously, we have some struggles because I think Tori's philosophy and how she is going to be really weird for her to interact with Daniel's philosophy, since Miyagi-Do is all about peace and, this forgiveness and all this stuff. And Tori's mainly about fighting and fighting for what's hers and all that kind of stuff. However, I feel like if Daniel were to talk to someone like Tori, it would be similar to how Daniel got to Robbie and basically saved him. And I think Robbie could even help Tori out, especially in terms of what she should believe in and how she should fight. And I think Tori and Robbie would start to build up a little chemistry here. Now, after this, I think Daniel would start to just teach the class. Dimitri and Stingray are kind of lacking, but Tori is following behind. And her and Sam off the bat are actually really good friends. The only reason they got off on the wrong foot was because, well, she was a part of Cobra Kai and Sam tried accusing her of stealing alcohol. But that's not going to happen here, and the foundation between Tori and Sam's friendship is just completely different. Well, for starters, in this one, if they actually have a friendship. But anyways, Sam and Tori are actually going to be pretty cool, and it's nice to see that there's another girl in Miyagi-Do from Sam's perspective. Now, Tori here wouldn't even go to the beach club, and if she did, she would be invited by Sam, so if really nothing's going to happen in this, no conflict really, and Robbie isn't going to be trying to record a fight to try and get some clout for Miyagi-Do, because now Miyagi-Do already has clout. So yeah, nothing really escalates in the beach club, and Sam and Aisha probably just fix up the friendship, and Sam introduces Aisha to her new friend, who is Tori. And the three of them just kind of hang out that day. Daniel still goes on to drop Robbie's old friends, and Robbie wouldn't even be trying to record anything, but in the end, I think Daniel would be trying to figure out who's trying to steal the wallets, or at least Robbie, which would lead into Daniel arriving, and dropping Robbie's friends, just like in the canonical timeline. Now we transition to the Cobra Kai side of things, and I think without Tori present, Miguel would ask Aisha about her opinion on the video, and she would just say how it's terrible. At that point, Aisha would even give Miguel a little piece of advice, which is about the whole going all in thing. Miguel is going all in the wrong way. He just needs to keep it plain and simple and go all in. He just can't overthink it. At that point, Miguel would then thank Aisha for her help, and he would then know what to do. So after this, we would usually get the mall fight stuff being built up, but Dimitri was already in Miyagi-Do in this timeline before he even was like thinking about joining Cobra Kai because of the whole festival thing, which definitely was a big part in Dimitri trying to go back into Cobra Kai, meaning this interaction doesn't even happen, which means nothing even escalates. Hawk doesn't even need to go up to Dimitri and say like, oh, I'm gonna jump you. None of that stuff happens. The mall fight doesn't happen, which means Hawk and Moon never break up, and Kreese never manipulates Hawk or takes advantage of him. Daniel never goes down to the Cobra Kai dojo and get mad at Johnny, never tries to take away some of his students, and I think in this timeline the only thing that does change is Nate and Chris personally leaving Cobra Kai because they never liked it, and in general they are just mainly Miyagi-Do people, so I don't think for long they're going to be staying in Cobra Kai. So long term they're probably going to leave, and short term they're just going to stay for a bit, maybe longer than in canon, but regardless they're going to be joining Miyagi-Do by season 2. Now, this would lead into Johnny leaving Cobra Kai, going hanging out with Tommy and his old buddies, leading into Kreese trying to teach the class about no mercy. Instead of Tori versus Assface in this spar and Kreese telling Tori to finish it, it would be Hawk in this situation replacing Tori, and like in canon, Miguel would stop it from happening. Class would be over, and Miguel would have no one to talk to, specifically not Tori to talk to, about this whole situation with Kreese, and this would lead into him never hearing about the philosophy of no mercy and fighting for what's years. It's not a tournament. None of that stuff is really brought to Miguel because that's mainly brought to Miguel from Tori, so that doesn't happen. Miguel doesn't even apologize to Kreese, and he's going to hold his ground and hold Johnny's teachings. I think after Miguel's realizing that Kreese is slowly trying to take control, Miguel would even call Johnny about this, but Johnny doesn't answer as he has other important matters to attend to, which is, hanging out with his old buddies, specifically Tommy, who is not doing so well. That whole trip is played out as per normal, and I think Kreese wouldn't go over to Daniel, declaring war or any of that. And Tori and Sam are just getting along, and I think Robbie and Sam aren't really gonna happen here. Because mainly the reason why is because Robbie's staying at Daniel's and he doesn't want to ruin anything. And Tori's also in the mix now, so instead of going for Sam, he can actually get with Tori because he doesn't want to mess anything up with Daniel LaRusso. Not that, Sam's messing it up, but he just doesn't want to even risk it. And Sam understands, he understands. So this would lead into Tori coming up in the mix and her and Robbie maybe slowly building up a relationship. Now, one specific thing I would like to go over is since Tori is a Miyagi-Do as well, I think her philosophy would obviously change here. I think that's just a given considering the fact that she's joining a dojo that just completely is the opposite opposite of her philosophy. Tori would even make a remark about how she's glad that the lessons are free and that she has a lot on her plate, and Daniel would even say how no matter what, he'll always be there for her. And this just shows to Tori how much that Daniel genuinely cares about his students. I think Daniel would just inspire this new Tori, and since there's no Kreese to really manipulate or fuel up that crazy mentality that she has, I think the effects would be completely reversed, with Tori, instead of slowly becoming mad, slowly becoming sane. So I think by the end of season 2 especially, Tori's actually a pretty good person. And if you disagree about Robbie and Tori being a good couple, I think I could go in depth, but I'd rather not. And if you want to see mainly the similarities and parallels between the two, you guys can go and check out my video on me deep diving as to why Robbie and Tori would be a good couple in season 4. And it definitely applies in this timeline, so you guys can check it out. And her and Sam are friends. Now, I think after the whole Coyote Creek thing goes down as well, and Kreese is teaching the kids about no mercy, with Miguel even telling Johnny about this, either Johnny kicks out Kreese before the Coyote Creek event, or he just kicks him out just like when he did in canon. So the last big significant change in this story is definitely Moon's house party, and let me explain why. There's really not that much tension. Hawk and Dimitri can definitely be friends. Dimitri doesn't need to be a jerk to Hawk, or Hawk doesn't need to be a jerk to Dimitri. They really have no reason to be jerks at each other, so they're just kind of cool. Robbie and Tori are together, and Tori and Sam are actually friends, so they never have a drink off with each other or anything. You know, it never gets too competitive. And it's quite literally impossible for the school fight to happen because Tori can't get mad at Sam kissing someone that's literally not her boyfriend. Like, it makes no sense. The school fight's just never gonna happen, guys. I think in this timeline, however, Miguel is going to be approaching a sober Sam, and they're actually going to kiss this time, you know, intentional, and Miguel is not gonna pull back or anything. You know, it's Miguel just going all in and apologizing to Sam and, you know, basically just saying everything that's on his mind. Which leads into Sam and Miguel finally getting back together, which is mainly where the story kind of ends. Carmen and Johnny stay together, and if anything about Johnny and Allie happens, Johnny and Allie are just going to leave anything that they had in the past, and obviously they're still going to be friends moving on from the future. It's going to be kind of difficult for Kreese to kind of betray Johnny behind his back when there's really nothing to try and betray him with. So yeah, Kreese is just going to be permanently gone, and Daniel and Johnny aren't even going to be mad at each other because Sam never really gets drunk, because the main reason she got drunk was to fight Tori. So it's quite literally a happy timeline, and my ideal ending is Sam and Miguel kissing at the house party, and that pretty much being the conclusion of the story. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to give this a thumbs up, along with subscribing if you are new, because the majority of my viewers are not subscribed, and be sure to hit the bell icon, that way you are actually notified and updated every time when I upload. Follow me on Twitter, and be sure to go and subscribe to Endless Requiem down in the description, because he did make my intro, and he is a GOAT, and he does make manga related content. Go show some love to my boy, and with that being said, I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Go and suggest me some videos you want me to do down below, and peace out, guys. Have a nice rest of the day, everybody.
You ain't never stood on the block till the sun come up.
Bitch, stop stealing, Louis. Stop fucking stealing, Lord. Stop stealing.